All right, good morning again or afternoon. We are on 1-3, writing expressions. So we're going to start filling out this table where we talk about what the different English phrases mean and tell you what operation to use. So the first operation, and these are all obviously very basic, addition. If you see the word sum, plus, total, more than, or increase by, those are all English clues that you're going to add. All right, so the first verbal phrase is the sum of 2 and a number x. So how would I write that mathematically? Well, it would simply be 2 plus x. A number n plus 7, n plus 7. Okay, subtraction, when you see the word difference, less than, minus, or decrease by, those are all indications that the operation will be subtraction. The difference of a number n and 6 would be n minus 6. And a number y minus 5 would simply be y minus 5. Multiplication, when you see the word times, product, multiplied by, I think the most important one you get out of this is the word of. You'll see this 1,000 times, and it's kids miss it all the time. The word of in math means times. So 12 times a number 7, or let's make this a variable so it's not confusing. So let's make that 12 times the number y, so it would be 12y. And then 1/3 of a number x. So like I said, this is the big one. This is what the kids overlook all the time. Literally, 1/3 of a number x is 1/3 times x. Okay, and then lastly, this is kind of glossed over, I think, a lot in elementary school mathematics. The word quotient, divided, divided by, divided into, those are all obviously indicating division. The quotient of a number k and 2 is k over 2. All right, so there's a nice little table for you to kind of look at, and just like I said, the word of often means, or always means multiply, but it's often missed. So there's a good table there for you to see some English clues to help guide you in understanding what the math word problem is kind of gearing you toward. All right, so for these 4 examples, we'll do these together. So we need to figure out what how to write what they're saying in a mathematical expression. So for example A, it says 4 less than the quantity 6 times a number n. So obviously 6 times a number n, this is telling me multiplication, but it's 4 less than the quantity. So 6n is the 6 times the number n, and I want 4 less than that. So I want to find that total first and then subtract 4 from it. So 6n minus 4 is your answer there for number or letter A. For B, it says 3 times the sum of 7 and a number y. So 3 times the sum of 7 and a number y. So I want 3 times, but I want to do this kind of individually. And sum is a clue for the word for the addition operation. So I want to do 7 plus y inside my parentheses. Once I calculate that, I want to multiply it by 3. Okay. C, I think, is the toughest of the 4. It says the difference of 22 and the square of a number m. So the difference of 22 and the square of a number m. So this can kind of be misleading. I want to take 22 and I want to subtract from it, because difference means subtract whatever m is squared. The difference of 22 and a number m squared tells me 22 is first, and I'm subtracting whatever m squared is from 22. Okay? And then lastly, the quotient, so that tells me division, when the quantity 10 plus a number x is divided by 2. The quotient when the quantity 10 plus x is divided by 2. So again, I'm going to do the 10 plus x in parentheses, and I'm going to divide that by 2. That's what that's saying. Quotient meaning divide. I want to know that whole thing after I've added x and 10, and then I divide by 2. All right. Our first example, or I guess really our fifth example, a piece of ribbon, this should be a script L. Piece of ribbon L feet long is cut from a ribbon that is 8 feet long. Write an expression for the length in feet of the remaining piece. So let's pretend, for an example, let's pretend that instead of length L, let's say it was length 2. Okay, so they're saying, here's your 8-foot long piece of ribbon. So that whole thing is 8 feet. And I want to write an expression after I've cut 2 feet from it. Well, then your expression would be 8 minus 2. But they don't want 2. I just gave you a specific number to help you with the variable. So they want, you have an 8-foot long piece of ribbon. This whole thing's 8 feet long, and you want to remove L feet from it. So you take the total, which is 8, and you minus from it the part that you want to cut. In this case, we'll just call it L. That's your expression. Okay, so if you want to put 3, if you're going to cut out 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot, a half a foot, 7 feet, whatever length you want to cut out of that 8 feet, you just substitute in for L, and that tells you the amount left over. Your next example says you work with 5 other people in an ice cream stand. All the workers put their tips into a jar and share the amount of money in the jar equally at the end of the day. This is often, if you guys want to become a waiter or waitress, this is often how a lot of restaurants do this. So you want to write an expression for each person's tips. So I'm going to let T equal tips in dollars. All right. So if there are, so this is actually where it gets kind of tricky. You work with 5 other people. So there are 6 total people that work here. So take your total amount in tips, and you want to just divide that by 6. All right, that's how you want to calculate your tips. So if you had, to make the math easy, if you had $36 in tips, you would just divide that by 6, and everybody would get $6, just to make it simple for you. Okay, but the expression to represent that is simply T divided by 6, or you could rewrite it as T over 6. All right, your excuse me, your lone vocab word says blank is a fraction that compares 2 quantities measured in different units. That's your rate. Most often you'll see that as miles per hour, right? They're in 2 different units. One's in miles, one's hour, but a rate's always a division problem. And speaking of your miles per hour, your first example, a car travels 110 miles in 2 hours. So 110 divided by 2, it wants you to find the rate in lowest form. Well, when you're driving 55 miles per 1 hour. And all I did was simplify this fraction. 110 divided by 2. All right, your last example. This is kind of an older problem because we're talking about free minutes on a cell phone, which was probably a thing back 10, 15 years ago, but not so much anymore. But a monthly charge for a cell phone bill is $30, which includes 300 free minutes. You pay a fee for each extra minute you use. This is, like I said, this is old school, probably back when your parents first got a cell phone, you'd pay per minute. This is a little bit of a dated question, but nevertheless, 1 month you paid $3.75 for 15 extra minutes. Find your total bill if you use 22 extra minutes. All right, well, the first thing you need to figure out is what do you pay per minute that you go over or beyond your 300 free minutes. So the first thing I want to do is I want to figure out what does it cost per minute beyond my 300 free minutes. So I need to use this rate that they gave me of $3.75 for 15 extra minutes. So 3.75 divided by 15. That's going to tell me what it costs, dollar amount, for every minute I use. When I divide that out, I get 0.25 or 25 cents per minute that I use. okay? So now, if I used 22 extra minutes, so they're asking me to figure out what I am going to pay if I use 22 extra minutes. So the total amount of minutes I use is 322, just so you understand what the question is saying. I use my 300 free, and I use 22 minutes beyond my allotted 300. So the flat rate for the 300 minutes is $30. I'm going to pay that. In addition to that, I'm going to pay 25 cents for each minute that I go over. So 0.25 M. M is going to represent minutes. Okay, so, and the problem, I went over 22 minutes, so 30 plus 0.25 times 22. So this is my base pay. This is what I pay in addition to my extra minutes. And when that's all said and done, I pay $35.50 for my cell phone bill. I really wish that was what your cell phone bill was nowadays. Okay. All right. So those are your quick notes. So again, you've got homework. Make sure you get that done. If you have any questions, be sure to email me. I'll see you guys tomorrow.